Hey everyone, welcome back to Apollo Art Analysis. In today's episode, we're going to be studying a piece by the established multidisciplinary artist known as SurrealSerpentine, and in this episode, we're going to be talking about the power we all hold within. We're also going to explore the multivariate symbol of the Metamorphosis, so let's jump right into it. So to start off, to understand this work, we have to say that it is a motion media piece. So I have the three states of transition, the three important areas within this composition. Of course, I can't bring the video directly in here, so we're going to work with some screenshots, but they do give quite a bit of insight, even if we're looking at these still pictures. So to start off, there is the idea of the metamorphosis, that is a transition from one state of being to another state of being. We'll go a bit deeper at that here in a second, but to know, we first start with this lone subject. We see the side profile, kind of a muscular figure as well, looking to the right side of the composition. Of course, there's this brilliant use of negative space, which of course defines the subject as well. That dark background allows that accent to the most tense degree. And so we see this, and then it transitions. You can see that transition from the earlier state of being into the newer state of being, a much more electric, energetic, and very extreme sense there. So it goes from the multivariate color. Of course, we have green, you have yellow, you have blue, a lot going on in that left composition, but we move into just green and blue. So you can even have a bit of insight from that as well, right? This is chaotic. It is, all over the place, colors of every different kind. They're kind of clashing within that. But then we transition to an analogous color palette, a much more balanced use of color, which is the blue and the green there. So there is a sense of going from the chaotic to the much more ordered, although we'll talk a bit more about that here in a second. But this composition pans from the really left side of the figure into the front of the figure onto the right side of the figure there. And so, sorry, this is the left side of the figure. We pan from the right to the left side of the figure there. But this kind of oscillating transition is so inherent to the work at hand, and I believe it goes back to the original at the very end as well. And so the composition here is named Metamorphosis. And what is the metamorphosis? Well, it is a state of transition. When we typically think of that word, we associate it with, the butterfly, the caterpillar, going from the one state of being, which is the kind of worm-like figure, into the beautiful butterfly and kind of emerging from that. And I think that is a very important symbol here, and you can use that to point to so many different things, from personal development to the times throughout your life. There's so many different areas you can kind of attribute that metamorphosis to. There is a sense of the death and then the rebirth into a whole new being. And so, like I said, the colors within this composition, we have a much more chaotic color palette that goes into a much more kind of balanced blue-green analogous color scheme here. And another thing I notice is the impact of texture. Right? We see this quite clearly. For example, in the work on the left, it's much more of a gradient, a bit smoother there, and then it transitions into a very rough, crystalline, almost kind of rough, extreme, pointy, and even static-like texture there, all of which give this incredible sense of energy within the composition. I just want to ask you guys, how did y'all first feel when you saw this work? Of course, you see the transition from one state of being to another, so your opinion of this work is likely to change as well. And like I said, the title of this work as Metamorphosis, we look at the static, right? There is the pre-awakening and the post-awakening, and so this static could be seen as the energy of the life force itself, although I want to ask all, what do y'all see when you view this composition? Of course, we see the awakening, and to awaken is to have the death of a previous state of being, and that is just inherent within that, right? You cannot change your mind without having the death of the previous state of mind as well. So that's all very important to the composition at hand. I was talking to the original artist, he's pointing to this sense of potential that's inherent within all of us. The idea of potential is kind of hard to think of at first, right? It is something that is not yet seen, especially when you're trying to imagine a future self, but you can bring that into being, right? And it's even more difficult, of course, that future state of mind. It's not here yet, and so it could almost seem like it's impossible in some way or another. But the original artist is talking about the power which we hold within us, the power to transform, to create new symbols such as this, to change others' minds, and to, raise and destroy armies with a single phrase. Imagine if you had something to say, words that can inspire millions, but instead you stayed silent. So the power within each one of us this is incredibly important. That's always an extremely important reminder. I think this work serves so well to really bring that in as well. And so on that topic, it's time to awaken, look at every aspect of your life, think about what you could change, what you could elevate, what you could transcend into, and that fundamentally is the metamorphosis from a previous state of being into a whole new one, which is electric, energetic, and extremely impactful nonetheless. And so it's a very stunning composition. There is no doubt about that. The original is going to be a 3D render using the digital rendering program known as Blender. But aside from that, he also has music from Ableton, and then of course we have the animation using Adobe After Effects. So this is a multimedia, kind of mixed media piece, if you will, and it's a very stunning one at that. I really hope y'all enjoyed. Of course, the metamorphosis is a timeless symbol, the state of transition, whether it's the phoenix, whether it's the death of the old and the ushering in and the rebirth of a new, all very important to this composition and very important to the human story as a whole, right? So this is a very profound work and a very important one at that. He was very proud of this work, and I certainly see why. This takes a lot of work, whether it's creating the music here, whether it's creating the 3D render and then animating that. This is a very difficult thing to create, so really a blessing to study this, and I really hope y'all enjoyed today. If y'all enjoyed today's episode, make sure to check out the original artist SurrealSerpentine, doing some amazing stuff in multiple different mediums, from the 3D render, which he normally works in, all the way to the music, which he creates as well. Like I said, we talked about so many different things, from a sense of rebirth, the metamorphosis, that timeless symbol. We talked about this static and the chaos, the life force, the energy here. We talked about the colors going from more chaotic to much more analogous and balanced, and even the texture that's incites an incredible sense of energy as well. So much we hit on today. I really hope y'all enjoyed. If y'all did, go check out the original artist SurrealSerpentine. Like I said, doing some amazing stuff in multiple different mediums. My name's Apollo. This was Apollo Art Analysis, and I'll see y'all on the next episode. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you'd like to support our work directly, please check out our Apollo community tokens. Apollo Art Exchange is an ecosystem of art appreciation which elevates artists each and every day. Thanks for listening.